front burner in the morning, not in the afternoon? He said, yeah. A week later, Brian had a job. But nothing happened until he had to move. Ladies and gentlemen, they have put together a marvelous conference for you. This is just day one. I understand you have a couple of days. If you just show up just because it was a conference and just because there's some information and not treated with a sense of urgency, then what are we doing? I'm telling you, great teams understand it's something we have to do. That's the biggest barrier. So I want to shoot through these because I know they gave me about 4 hours to do this, but I know it's been a long day for you, okay? The first thing is having the power of listening. Now, if we're going to start talking about listening and communication, and listening is first, we have to pick up the gold nuggets. Now, I say that gold nuggets, I was hired as a consultant, and sometimes they would bring me in for complex cases of a sale, and these weren't cheap items. And it was always amazing. I get to the sale, and I'm listening to the person who set the sale up, and they're giving me all this background information. And the only thing I'm supposed to do is just explain the strategy to this client. And I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it because I didn't really understand. And I asked the client just a few questions. It always starts with a question: how can I serve you? What are you trying to get accomplished today? You know, what they think they're trying to get accomplished today may not be something that you're thinking about. And if we show up with a prescription before we even know what the diagnosis is, what are we doing? What are we doing? So pick up the gold nuggets. You'd be surprised. Your client will actually help you if we simply listen long enough, if we ask some probing questions. If you're not paraphrasing, then we're not listening. Now, we have a lot of smart people in this room. But have you gotten snared by assumptions of what you thought the person thought or meant and what you thought you heard? You know, if you just take a minute and paraphrase back, so Mr. Jones, if I hear you right, these are your issues, and you're trying to get this done. Do I have that right? All of a sudden, Mr. Jones is on the hook because I'm endeavoring to understand him. I haven't said anything, but that's the power of listening. It opens the door for you. Number two is be specific. Now, always be courteous, and I'm sure you always are. But also be brief. How many of you have gotten emails that seem like War and Peace? Okay? You know, I've got a friend of mine, I'm sure it takes like 4 days to write this email. And I'm positive he's got some great ideas. I'll never read them. I'll never read them. Make them brief. Bullet points are great. Bullet points can be very good. Make sure the message is complete. If they read your message and can take it 2 or 3 different ways, then that's not a complete message. You know, email and text and electronic communications are very one-dimensional, so be very careful about that. And don't make it complicated. The complicated part here, too, is where we think we want to make them think. I don't want them to have to think about anything. When I finish talking with you, I want you to understand exactly what I said, exactly what I meant, and exactly where I'm going. So make it easy, not complicated. Number 3 is find the opportunity. You're going to hit situations at points where it may be a little bit difficult, and you may have a tough conversation to have. But I'm saying that there are opportunities for you to engage with that person and it not be very tough. I was at a department store, I won't give their name, and I'm there to buy a refrigerator. And I've already called ahead. I know which model I want. They say I can come up. It'll take me 10 minutes. And I park in the loading bay area. You know, you can be there no more than 30 minutes. I'm going to be there 10 minutes. And I'm in the store, and the salesperson has been engaged by one of these clients who asks every question known to man. Have you been behind one of these people? You know, every ridiculous question they're asking. So it takes a little while, and they page me over the speaker. And I go down to where the loading bay is, and the young man says, sir, you're going to have to move that car, or we're going to have it towed. Now, think about that. I'm there to buy something from their store, and he's threatening to tow my car, okay? He should have found the opportunity to actually talk to me in a way to where I'm not his enemy. Same conversation. Sir, thank you so much for shopping at XYZ. My manager is all over us about cars being parked down here. He's already been down a couple of times. Please do me a favor. Would you mind moving your car? I would have moved the car. Did the first one engender me with the company? Absolutely not. Find the opportunity to frame the message, get the same point across, but make it pleasant to the other person. And the other thing, make it personal, which is what I did with that second example there. I said, would you please do me a favor? So all of a sudden, now I'm thinking, what would I do if I were in his shoes? And move the car. And it's just that easy. It only takes a little bit of time. Number 4 is you're going to have some courageous conversations. You guys discuss a lot of intricate detail. I'm back there and I'm looking at these slides with all this technical information on there too, and that's a lot. I mean, that really is. So sometimes you have to stop the wheel and go, hey, I don't quite understand, and be okay with doing that. It's okay. Be honest. First person you need to be honest with is yourself. You know, I don't understand. I need you to repeat that. Set the tone. We're trying to find a way to where we are trying to get something done here. If a person actually encourages you to do something that you feel is outside of your strategic skill set, it's all right for you to say, well, I'm not quite sure with that, but we can find some answers for that, okay? And get all the facts first before you start showing up with the prescription. That's, again, if I refer back to my friend as a consultant too, it's always showing up to make the sale instead of endeavoring to find out what the person actually wants. And lastly, you can become an advocate. Know your audience. I'm looking around this room, and I asked as far as the demographics of your group, and you're all over the place with this group. I mean, you really are, and that's actually quite refreshing. But do you know that different groups communicate differently? There are traditionalists, baby boomers, Generation X, Generation Y, millennials. They all communicate differently. And at least you need to have some working knowledge about that. Now, the traditionalists are born before 1945, and these people love a chain of command. They love things to be written down, okay? My mom still has receipts from 1952. She does, all right? Respect is huge. Respect is huge with this group. They want you to respect them, and they'll give you respect too, all right? The next group would be the baby boomers, and most of us would fit in that category. I'm in that group. Baby boomers don't like to follow for the most part. We like to lead. We like to make our own decisions. I'm that way. Educate me on what I'd like to do or what I can do, okay? They have overwhelmingly taken over management. I think baby boomers account for about 40% of the management in the country, okay? Next is Generation X, born between 1965 and 82. They understand technology. Now, that last bullet there, that's not Greg talking. That's what the research says. This is the me generation. This is the generation that supposedly learned technology first and became absorbed with it. And they too are individualists. They don't necessarily like to lead, but they like to do their own thing. Now, this next group, do you have any of these here? Generation Ys? Oh boy. Yeah. Yeah. They bore easily. Please don't take their Wi-Fi from them. You know, if they go to some place and there's no Wi-Fi, what's going on here? This is a part of the group too that would be texting by sitting beside someone. This is no joke. I'm out to dinner with my wife. This is a couple of weeks ago. And I see a group, and they're not of this age. He looked to be about 40. She looked to be maybe 38. He has an iPad. She has an iPad. They're at the restaurant. They're surfing at the restaurant. They have an 8-year-old who has a little gadget there too. I thought, what are we doing? What are we doing? But this is the group. They're actually quite creative, this group. In fact, this group, more so than any of the other groups, will seek out a place where they can actually get into their creative genes. What I'm asking you to do, no matter which one of these groups that you're in, is to become a facilitator. Doesn't matter about your age, doesn't matter which generation you come from. A facilitator is a person that is a can-do person. They embrace change, okay? These are the people who are looking for ways to get it done. They may not have all the answers today, but let's work together to see if we can come up with a common solution. That's a facilitator. Now, some believe that those are only people in management, and I'm here to tell you that's not true. Some of the best facilitators have nothing to do with a title. It's an attitude, okay? And everyone can do that. Bring your A team. No matter which group I speak to, one of the biggest challenges, especially for groups that have a lot of skills, is to understand that you don't have to know it all. In fact, you can't know it all. Not only can you not know it all, it's unimportant and it's downright unproductive. You bring value, however, you need to also offer value. Every person in this room needs to have a list of referrals that they can refer someone to. You know, if someone asks you something that is not within your suite to handle, you need to have company contacts that you can lean on. I don't mean throw your work on. I mean lean on for some help there. And then as far as the company contacts are concerned, if you get to, that's what's so great about you guys being in the same place at the same time. If you get to know people outside of your group, outside of your particular department, then all of a sudden opportunities pop up as far as getting things done that you didn't know existed. But that can't happen if you don't bring in your A team. Now, number 7 has nothing to do with communication, but it does have something to do with being a great team. And that's finding a way to invest in you. All right, now, this is football season now. Everybody's into football? Okay. Playoff times now. When is the champions made in pro football? February? Super Bowl? Training camp? That's right. It's not the Super Bowl. You know, the Super Bowl is when the champion may be crowned, but the champions are made in the off season. It's during the two-a-days when no one's looking. It's when it's hot there and your lungs are about to explode. That's where the champions are made. And that's what I'm talking about, investing in you, whether that's personal development, continuing education, continuing certification. You got to invest in you. The other thing is you invest in your team. You know, you need to have your own personal vision, but you need to have a team vision too. One of the things I love about sports, and I'm not a sports fanatic, but what I love about sports is how they get together. You know, so a team fortifies themselves in the off season, and then they stick together during the entire season. And nothing exemplifies that better than sports. Well, I'm telling you that you can do that too. All right? You can do that too. It's like having one big family. And the other thing is having your company vision. You have to make the investment to where you know what your company vision is. That's why this conference is so important. And then you can replicate that when you go back to your individual places there too. Now, I do need to pass along that even though we're talking to a technology group, for you not to forget the power of DNA. It's the human touch, ladies and gentlemen. You know, technology is great, but when we start talking about engaging with a person, you know, that's a totally different thing. Email can be incomplete. I like a phone call. I'm big on voice. Not my own voice. I'm big on hearing voices. It brings context to the conversation. I'm also big on notes, too. In fact, some of the best things I've done have come behind a powerful note. When I'm on the road, if I'm at a restaurant, especially if I'm in a college town, I like to seek out a waiter or waitress who is in college. And I tip okay, and I try to make sure they're okay. Well, I'm in Tampa, and this guy is having an absolutely miserable day. I mean miserable, shoulder swamped. The table right next to me just chewed him out, and the service I got really wasn't that great either, to be quite honest with you. But he's having a miserable day. And I write on my receipt, "Thanks so much for taking care of me. Have a wonderful day." A little tip. And I'm usually not around when they pick that up. He picks it up, he walks about 10 feet, his shoulder slumps, he turns around and he says, "Thank you so much. I really needed that today." Now, that pumped him up. What do you think it did for me? I wasn't having a great day that day, but my day changed because I did something good for him. That's the power of a note. Now, my best note was during a time my wife had, there's a clinical title for this. It's called having an attitude. She was having an attitude, and I didn't know why. Okay, I was working a lot. I did radio and television at the same time. So I see her in the kitchen. I say, well, what's the matter? She says, and I quote, if you don't know, I'm not going to tell you. Ladies, now, again, what is that? I'm asking the question. That means I want the information. You have the information. Just give it to me. I said, okay, I'll figure it out. A couple days later, I'm at the bank, and I'm writing out a slip at the bank, and I asked the date. She said, it's June 27th. Oh, I forgot to tell you, my anniversary is June 25th. So I'm in major, major hot water. The next day on the radio, I tell everybody. I just tell it all. And they lit me up for 2 hours. How could you forget that? And then after 2 hours, the tide changed. Well, I think it's actually nice that you admitted that. I said I was nuts for doing it. And I sent Cynthia 24 roses and a note. You know, I'm a fool. I'm an idiot. I'll take you out to dinner, and I'll pick you up for lunch. Well, I go over for lunch, and at the bank, it's loaded with ladies, okay? They're looking at me with those beaming eyes like they're about to execute me when I walk in. I get back to Cynthia, and she's lit up like a Christmas tree. I think it's the flowers. I thought it was because I got on the radio and said I was such a fool. Turns out it was a note. Cynthia, I'm an idiot. Trust me, you're an idiot too. I got redemption on the back of a note. That's how powerful a note can be. Don't look past that. And I'm sorry, an email would not have worked with that. Okay? A handwritten note goes a very long way. So don't forget about that, the power of the note. Number 9, expect some trouble. You know, when you put your best laid plans together, you walk out, you're on air. You're about to take on the world. And then you get some trouble. Why are you so surprised? We all get trouble, right? All right, so expect some trouble. It shouldn't knock you out. It shouldn't hurt you. And trouble does a couple of things. A, it can build a better you. That stuff I told you about with my son and my family. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I have compassion that I could not buy. That's all because of those struggles and those storms I walked through with that. So it can build a better you. Number 2, it forces you to grow. Sometimes you're in the wrong place. That's why you're in trouble. You know, it serves a purpose at that point. So that's a good reason for it. And then the third is, for good teams, trouble knocks them out. For great teams, trouble forces you to pull together. That's going to be the deciding line for you. Because trouble will come. There's not a year where there isn't trouble, where the best laid plans have to take a U-turn or a left turn or a right turn. Just make sure that it doesn't knock you out. And my last point for you, which is remember who you are. There was a day for my family where we had been in great anticipation for some time. And to be fair, I guess I was teasing my wife and my son for quite a bit leading up to this day. It was the first day of college for my son, Brian. And I told him that he was going to have to check into the witness protection program just to get away from his mama. My wife really is Santa Claus. I mean, they love her. Everything is all right with my wife. What, you burned the house down? Well, that's all right with mama. That's not all right with me. I'm Darth Vader, okay? So leading up to this day for college, I had been saying, listen, it's going to be tough. This woman is going to fall apart when we take you to school. So we load him up, load my van up, load his car up, and we take him over to Tallahassee to school. Now, I think this is going to be a short day, okay? For me, this was going to be a drive-by. We pull up, unload the van, usher Brian in, say see ya, and head back to Jacksonville. But little did I know, for college, if you're taking a kid to school, especially in their dorm, if the dorm is not absolutely packed, well, she has to go and buy something else to fill those little spots up there too. We took Brian to breakfast. We took Brian to lunch. We took Brian to dinner. We had the same mundane conversations over and over and over again. We hugged about 6,000 times. But the truth is, we didn't want to leave. And in my last embrace, right up next to my son's ear, I'm nestled right in there, I tell him what I tell all my sons. Remember who you are. You have everything you need right inside of you. And I'm very proud of you, son. On our drive back to Jacksonville, the radio's on. You've been like that, where the radio's on. Nobody's listening. Nobody. And while I had been teasing my wife about it being a tough day for her, it really wasn't her. It was his little 11-year-old brother and his big bald-headed daddy who broke like the levees of New Orleans. I mean, it washed over us like a warm wave. But those words I left with my son started resonating with me after I left him. Remember who you are. Ladies and gentlemen, we're not here to just be here. That's not what we're here for. I'm not talking about the conference. I mean, you're here for great things for conference. I'm talking about in life. We're here to live a life, and we want to do things that are great. We want to do things that are powerful, but we want to live along the way, don't we? Don't you? You have to start making some decisions. The first decision I needed to make was my health. I got in contact with my doctor, got myself checked out. Then I called my family. I'm one of 8 kids in my family. Called every one of them. Listen, we need to talk. We're so busy, we run all the time, but we need to find time to talk. I started visiting my parents more. I'm blessed to have my parents in Florida. I live in Jacksonville. My parents live in Fort Pierce. But I've become so busy, I wasn't taking time to go. I had to start remembering what my vision of what my work really was, how that I could actually transform my own vision for my family. And I'm encouraging you to do the same. When you leave here for this week, after you've been taking in all the information for your DSS conference here, I'm asking you to not only put that in place for your work, but find a place for you to actually enjoy your life along the way too. That's very, very, very important. Very important. Now, ladies and gentlemen, now I'm going to tell you that life will come to not tap you on the shoulder, and it will come to make its way to your door, and it won't always be pleasant. It doesn't have to be. Are you aware that the reason that you appreciate a good night's sleep is because you've had bad night's sleep? You know, the reason you appreciate the sweet times is because you've had some trouble there first. And I'm encouraging you to take inventory of what you can do right now for the rest of your life, not just this conference. Now, my time is about up here. I said that I could talk for 4 hours, but they said that we could leave early. And looking at this crowd, some of you want to leave early. Hoo-wee, you do. I hope that my time with you has been worthwhile for you. May God bless each and every one of you. Thank you so much for having me.
Good job, brother. Appreciate it. Big hand.
Thank you.
Thank you. Gregory Gaines, everyone. Big hand. One more round. Are we ready to rumble? What a day, huh? Oh, we're not done yet. You still got to sit here for 4 more hours. Mark's coming back up. What else you got to say, Ray?
Well, I wanted to say thank you, everybody. And also I wanted to thank Alyssa and Kelly for picking Dan and I to host the company's first DSS national meeting.
Yeah! Oh. 2 people, 3 people stood up. 4, all right, thank you. Oh, 5.
Thing is, Dan, I think the only reason why they picked us is because we're in Toastmasters, and I think we're supposed to know how to speak.
Something like that. I don't know. We'll have to ask our president because he threw us underneath the bus. It's like, by the way.
Well, thank you, guys. And let's do a wrap-up here. Tuesday and Wednesday will be the breakout sessions based on your personalized agenda. And Thursday is a fun-filled day with building activities to pay it forward to support the Renewal Coalition by creating gift bags for wounded service members and their families, as well as One Vision Wiffle Ball Tournament at the local park to encourage team spirit and competition. Please make sure you wear your provided team shirts. No switching because the team's already predetermined. And also, the reception, Sterry Vision Awards, is at 5 p.m., guys. So for you locals, you have up until 6:30 to come back because that's when we start dinner.
That's Thursday.
Thursday night. And that's about it. Do you have anything else you want to say, Dan?
The old company I used to work at, I used to deal with a lot of nurses, and I used to do this every morning, and I forgot to do this morning. I said, did anyone say you're special yet today? Let me apologize for all the people who passed your life today who didn't say you're special, because you are. You made a choice today to come here. You had other choices. You had thousands of choices you could have made this morning, but you chose to come here to be part of this one vision of this great company of ours. So give yourself a round of applause, and remember you are special because you made this choice. And out of a person, thank you, thanks. Yeah, we're special. We're wearing orange and blue light suits. On another personal note, I did lose my mom last week. And I just want to thank you all for all your thoughts and prayers that I got. I appreciate it. Thank you. And this one might get me fired, but I'm going to throw it out there anyway. No, it shouldn't. It really shouldn't. I hope it won't. But anyway, if you're not having fun, you don't know what you're doing, because this is the best place to be at. So enjoy yourself the rest of the week. Enjoy your breakout sessions. We'll see you all Thursday night. Be safe. No wiffle ball accidents, because we don't want any workman comp. All right, we heard that. Thank you all. Have a great rest of the night. Be safe. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Let's get ready to rumble!